I want to tell you about a lawyer I know. Smart, meticulous, the kind of person who finds the issue everyone else missed. Clients liked her, partners trusted her work. She had never once given advice that was technically wrong. She was, by every measure the profession uses, an excellent lawyer. But when management sat down to make one of the biggest decisions of the year, an acquisition, high risk, significant exposure. They heard her advice, they thanked her, and they didn't follow it. They did the opposite. She was right, by the way. The deal didn't go that well, exactly what she said. And when I spoke to the CEO, another company, not mine, I knew him. I asked, well, why, what happened? Why didn't you follow her advice? And he paused and he said something, to be honest, I've never forgotten. She told us what we couldn't do. She never helped us figure out what we could. That sentence really changed how I saw the legal profession. And if you're a senior associate thinking about partnership, it might change how you see it too, for example. I'm Coach Jonathan Cullen. I spent 20 years as an instructing client, meaning I worked at a company and I instructed law firms and I led legal teams. I spent 2 decades on the receiving end of legal advice, watching lawyers succeed, fail, lead, stall. Now I coach driven lawyers who want to go further, faster, without burning out to do it. This video is for those lawyers who are good at the law, but are starting to wonder, is it enough to get where I want to go? The honest answer, it's a little scary, is no. And I'm going to tell you exactly why and what to do about it. The skills that made you excellent will not make you a leader. Here's the thing about being a lawyer. You got here by being right, consistently, reliably, provably right. You spotted issues. You drafted the clause. You found the precedent. You stayed late. Oh yeah, you stayed late. Double-checked the work. Delivered something no one could argue with. Perfect highlighting. I know you guys with the highlighters. That's not a small thing. It's genuinely hard, and it got you here. But here's what nobody tells you at the start of that journey. The skills that make a great lawyer and the skills that make you a great leader are not the same. In fact, in some important ways, they're pulling you in opposite directions. Great lawyering often rewards precision. Great leadership rewards judgment under uncertainty. Lawyering rewards caution, and leadership rewards calculated risk. Great lawyering rewards knowing the answer. Great leadership rewards asking better questions. Great lawyering, being right. Great leadership, bringing people with you. That last one, that's where our lawyer in our example lost that room. She was right. She was completely right. Demonstrably right, the best kind, but she presented her advice as a verdict. Here's the risk, here's my conclusion, here's what you can't do. And management, who are under pressure, who have stakeholders to satisfy, who had a deal they believed in, didn't hear a trusted advisor helping them navigate a problem. They heard a cost center telling them no. No. Being right is the price of admission to this profession. It's not the price of admission to leadership. So what does the shift actually look like? What does a lawyer who leads do differently? 3 things. And I've watched this pattern play out over 20 years across boardrooms, crisis meetings, major transactions, and those quiet moments where trust is either built or quietly withdrawn. First, leaders frame advice as options, not verdicts. The lawyer in our story delivered a verdict. Here's the risk, here's my conclusion, end of report. A leader frames the same information a little bit differently. Here's 3 ways you could approach this. Here's the cost of each, commercially, legally, reputationally. Here's what I'd recommend, giving where you are trying to get, and I know where you're trying to get. And here's what I need from you to make that work. That's not dumbing down the advice. That's packaging it in a way that actually gets used. If your advice isn't used, it's no good. Your clients are not asking you to make the decision. They're asking you to help them make it better. That's a profound difference. And the lawyers who understand that difference get called back. The ones who don't get thanked, filed, quietly replaced. Second, leaders read the room and then they lead it. Our lawyer didn't read the room. She walked into a board meeting with a memo. She delivered the memo. She answered questions about the memo. She left. What she didn't do was read the dynamics in the room. Who was driving the deal? What were their real concerns, interests? Where was the genuine risk appetite? And what was the decision actually going to hinge on? Leadership is situational intelligence. It's the ability to walk in a room, understand what's actually happening, not just what's on the agenda, and calibrate your contribution accordingly. As a lawyer, you've spent your years developing legal intelligence. You now need to start developing situational intelligence. They're different muscles, but both can be built very deliberately. Third, leaders make people feel capable, not constrained. This is one of the CEO's comments. That's what it was really about. When a lawyer says you can't do this, the message the client hears, even when it's technically accurate, is, I am the wall between you and what you want. When a leader says, here's how we could do this, the message lands completely differently. I am the person who helps you get where you're trying to go. Same legal knowledge, same risk, completely different relationship. The lawyers who become leaders make their clients feel more capable in their presence, not less. They expand the room. They don't just protect the downside. They brighten up the upside. They illuminate it. They make it visible. And that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when you stop being managed and start being trusted. So if you're a lawyer watching this and thinking, okay, I see the gap. How do I close it? Where do I start? 1, audit the last 5 pieces of advice you gave. And I don't mean technical accuracy. For framing, did you present a verdict or options? Did you land the risk or the way through the risk? Did the person on the other end feel more capable or more constrained after talking to you? And be honest, most lawyers, when they do this honestly for the first time, and I am no exception, find more verdicts than options. That's not a criticism. It's what our training produces, but it's fixable. It's great. 2, get curious about the business, not just the matter. Before the next client meeting, ask yourself, what does this person actually need to achieve? Not legally, commercially, strategically, personally, in terms of how this decision affects them internally. Then ask yourself how your advice connects to that. If you can't answer that question, you're advising on the matter. You're not advising the person. The lawyers who make partner, the lawyers who advance in-house, the ones who really make it, they're not just technical, but they're trusted advisors. They're the ones who understand that difference. 3, start practicing leadership in the room you're already in. You don't need a title to lead. You don't need to make a partner first. Leadership is a behavior. It is not a position. In your next team meeting, take responsibility for a problem you didn't cause. Your next client call, offer a perspective that goes beyond the legal brief. In your next internal review, ask the questions that move things forward instead of the ones that just cover you. Small things, consistent things, over time, they compound into a reputation. And your reputation in this profession, honestly, it's the most durable asset you have. The lawyer in our story eventually figured this out. It took her longer than maybe it should have, and she'll tell you that herself. She's now a happy general counsel at a company that genuinely values her, not because she became a different person, because she learned to lead with the same rigor she'd always brought to the law. That's the journey from excellent lawyer to trusted leader. It's not about leaving the law behind. It's about adding the dimension the law never gave you. Being right is not enough. It was never enough. The lawyers who lead know that being right is where the work starts, not where it ends. So if this landed, you're going in the right place. This is what going from lawyer to leader is all about. Every week in your inbox, practical, honest, occasionally uncomfortable ideas for lawyers who want to go further. Subscribe, follow, and I'll see you next week.